Good morning, class. Today we're going to be going over the unit review for Unit 10. So let's begin. So the first problem that we're going to be looking at is problem number 1. This is in the back of your packet. It says page 906. So I believe that is just the page. Let me see. It could actually help you, I think. Let me look at 906 in the textbook. Nope, it's just basically the review pages in the textbook. Okay, so we are to identify the similar triangle and find each measure. So we have these two triangles, K, L, and J. And it's 87 degrees at angle K. And then we have 16 for side JK and 12 for LM. And then we have this other similar triangle, T, S, and R. And it says 3 for T and S, X is side SR, and 87 is S. So it wants us to identify the similar triangles and find each measure. So it wants us to find SR. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to write down the corresponding sides. So we know that K and S are corresponding, and then we also know that I think SR is the larger side, and it corresponds with KJ. So if we're going by alphabetical order, it would go triangle JKL is similar. It's just that little one squiggly line to RST, triangle RST. So RS is the first two letters of in alphabetical order of triangle RST, and then JK would be the first two letters. So we know that JK does in fact correspond to SR, like I was saying. So we're going to do a proportion. We're just going to go basically SR over JK is equal to ST over KL. And we know that because ST and KL are the last two letters in this triangle. So we're going to have X over KL's side, which is 16, equals 3 over 12. And then so we have this proportion, X over 16 equals 3 over 12. We're going to just cross multiply now, and we're going to get X times 12, or 12X equals 16 times 3. So 12X equals 48. And then we divide both sides by 12. So X equals 4. So that means that side SR is equal to 4. Okay. There's a glare right there from my window. Hopefully you can see over here this proportion. Let's see if I can move that. All right. Perfect. All right, so let's look at problem 2. Problem 2 is very similar to problem 1. We have this smaller triangle that's a right triangle and a larger right triangle that is formed. And it says A, D, C, B, and F. And AF is X, and we know that the length of AB is 16, and then AD is 9, and DC is 6. And it wants to find AF. So in order to do that, what we're going to have to do again is set up a proportion. And what we know is that this smaller triangle, the proportion would be AF over the whole length of AB is equal to the proportion of AD, or the smaller triangle, over the proportion of AC, the base of the larger triangle. So again, this small triangle's hypotenuse is congruent or similar to the length of the larger triangle's hypotenuse over the smaller base of the triangle over the base of the larger triangle. So that's how I came up with AF over AB equals AD over AC. So we're just going to plug in the numbers. We got X for AF over AB, which is 16, equals AD, which is 9, over 6, plus, sorry, 9 plus 6, which is 15. And now doing the math, we're going to cross multiply, and just give me 1 second. I just want to make sure I set it up correctly. Hold on 1 second. And I believe I did. Okay. So what we're going to do now is cross multiply. So we're going to get, the only reason I was kind of like hesitant was because the problem is giving us a decimal for x. So we're going to have 15x equals 16 times 9. So 15x equals 144. Divide by 15, divide by 15. And then x is going to equal 9.6. So that means that AF is equal to 9.6. All right, so now we're going to move on to the next problem, problem number 6. I just want to see page 906 again in the textbook because that's where this is from, and go from there. So just give me a second. Okay. Oh, that's why it's slightly off. I did the problem correctly, but this is not 16. That is 18. So that's why I was kind of a little off. We set it up correctly. The only thing that's going to be different is that this is going to be 18. So we're going to have x times 15x and then 18 times 9. I wrote down the length right here incorrectly. And so that's going to actually be 18 times 9, which is 162. All right, there we go. And that's going to give us 162 divided by 15, which is 10.8. So I did set it up correctly. I just, for some reason, wrote 16 instead of 18. So it's going to actually be 10.8. So we did it correctly. The steps that I showed you, again, were correct. I apologize. For some reason I saw in the Chromebook it said 16 when really it said 18. Okay, so that is problem 1 and 2. So let's move on to the next problem, problem 6. Problem 6 and 7 are actually identical, so I am going to do just problem 6 and let you do problem 7 on your own. It says to use a ruler, so if anyone has a ruler, I definitely would use that. However, I don't have a ruler myself, so if you draw it by freehand, that is the best that we could do at this point. So essentially, problem number 6, it says copy the figure and the given line of reflection, then draw the reflected image in this line using a ruler. My pen is kind of dying. I want to see if this black pen works. And it looks like it will. There we go. All right, so we have a line of reflection at C, and then we have this triangle like this. That is X, Z, and Y. And it says to copy the figure in the given line of reflection, then draw the reflected image in the line using a ruler. So if you had a ruler, you would actually measure straight up across this line of reflection like this, going straight up, and whatever that length is right here that I draw with a dashed line, you're going to actually put it up over here, same length. So I'm just going to say, I don't have a ruler, but I'm going to put X prime right there. And then Y is obviously, Y prime is going to be right there. And then Z, whatever Z's length is, again, we're just going to draw it. Make sure it's a 90-degree angle with the ruler right here. And then whatever that length is, you're just going to, again, draw it up over here. And it seems like right about there. So I'll have Z prime right there. And then I'm just going to draw the triangle. So that is a reflection. Again, the dashed lines means that's what I used when I was measuring out with a ruler. So number 7 is the same as number 6, so I'm going to skip it. Number 8, 11, and 12 are identical problems. They are basically translations, meaning, again, when we look at translations, it means that we move either the triangle or the quadrilateral, whatever shape is drawn, on the axis horizontally and vertically. So looking at number 8, I'm just going to do the first one, and then you can work on number 11 and 12 on your own. It says that triangle, this pen is dying too. All right. So triangle FGH has vertices of F at -4 and 3, and then G is at -2, 0, and H is at -1, 4, and it wants us to reflect it across the y-axis. So this isn't a translation problem like the next two, but I will do number 11, and then 12 you could do on your own. So reflection is just like what we did for problem 6 and 7. What we're going to do is we're going to draw an X and Y axis, and then we're going to label the original shape, the original triangle, and then we're going to reflect it over the y-axis. All right.